So check out our website at theintuitivecoach.com. With that, Jodi.
Hello. Oh, this is way in the corner here. Can you see me? Hi. What a gorgeous day, and you guys are here. It's going to be gorgeous in here. So, wow, it's a wonderful crowd. I think Minnesotans are hilarious. Do you guys, anybody here wearing shorts? I'm driving here, and there's a guy in a sweatshirt and shorts. My kids would do that. Like, we are very sturdy people. We're just a very sturdy people. Well, and I love this atmosphere. This place has been so many different things, and there's a vibration of all those things in here. But mostly it's radiates because of you guys. Seriously, people that come here fill this place with so much light that it's lifted. It's so cool. I like to use my little thing to get directions so I can sort of space out and drive or sing or do whatever I do or sing. And I don't need it when I do this because this just, the whole place radiates. So it's really nice. So I am here to talk about a couple of many different things, compassion and empathy being two of them. And I know that the intro, because I wrote it. So just to tell you a little more background about me, I am a medium. That means I am a super sensitive person. There are other people in here like this. When I was a little girl, I would sit next to somebody and I could feel all sorts of things about them. And I didn't know that it was them I was feeling it about. I thought it was me. So if somebody was feeling hungry, I'd sit next to them and think I was hungry. And if somebody was feeling sad, I'd think it was my fault. So, or that I was sad, or both. So it was a boundary thing that I had absolutely no idea. And my parents, of course, wouldn't know. We didn't talk about this 30-some years ago, 40-some years ago, 50-some years ago. Nobody talked about it. Nobody really understood it. But it really is boundaries. So I started to understand more about it as a teen, and I've been doing readings since then. And I've been building boundaries my whole life. Everybody has their life's work. Everybody's got a lot of things that's our life's work. One of my things was to talk about boundaries, because when I was learning about everything psychic, nobody talked about boundaries, not one single word. So when you're working with a child or a young adult and you're talking to them about anything psychic and spirit related, and you don't give them boundaries, what you do is you open up their head and every single thing that's around can come right in. I was a mess. And a big mess. So I had to learn to close out that inner voice that wasn't very nice and to keep spirits at bay. When I was a kid, I never ever wanted to talk about ghosts. And if there was ever anybody telling a ghost story, I'd run. I hated it. I didn't really understand about being a medium. I thought everybody kind of interacted with the spirit energy, but I didn't like it because like attracts like, and I was open and I didn't have great boundaries yet. And so kind of achy spirits were around. And they weren't always telling me to do nice things, but I didn't do it most of the time. I don't think I ever did anything, but I remember being really grouchy when I wasn't grouchy. Like all of a sudden I was just rageful, and it wasn't just mine, and it was boundaries. But part of what happened was I'm so sensitive, I'm very compassionate, and I'm very empathetic. And what happens when we're so empathetic is we can feel what other people feel, right? We're sensitive, we can feel it. But I have a little news for you. It's none of your business. It is none of your business. If you really want to help somebody, compassion is the way to go. But over-empathizing is not a good idea. Understanding what somebody's going through, being able to relate to it, and then you stop. Because if you step further into it, you're taking on their stuff. So I learned this in many different ways. I have a couple different stories, and I'm open right now, so I'm kind of hearing what my guides are trying to tell me to say. And I had a person that I've known most of my life. This is many, 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 many years ago, and a couple of these things have happened where somebody crossed themselves over. And it was very sad, and it was drug-related, and it's horrible. Don't ever do that. There's always better choices if you're sad. There really is always better choices, and there's always help. So my friend, being very sensitive herself, blamed herself because she knew it was going to happen. And she was over-empathizing to a point where she got really depressed. And I said, this isn't your business. You couldn't have fixed this. You did everything you could. And that's the deal, is that everybody's life is their treasure. Everybody's life is their treasure, and we get to do with it what brings us the most joy. And if there are things that don't feel good, there are things that we can do to kind of pop that away from us or to work it through. But it's our life, and other people do that when something really joyous is happening for people we know. Do you know anybody who kind of steps in a little too close and maybe takes some of the credit for it? Or that's a boundary bust too. But it's out of wanting to share. So when people over empathize, I don't feel like it's because they're bad people. I think it's just that we don't know. Just like I didn't know. We don't know that we can't lose weight for somebody else, right? We can't not eat sugar for somebody else. We can't save money for somebody else. We have to let people do their thing, and the nice thing is, that's what they're here for. That's what we're here for. We're here to have our joy, number one, more than anything, and we're here to work things out. We decided to do this. We decided to take on the things that we have in front of us. And because they're in front of us, there's a way to figure it out. So if you want to know how to figure something out, the best thing to do is say, I know there's a way to figure it out, because it wouldn't be happening otherwise. See if I can scoot this forward a little bit. Okay, I don't do this for very long, because this way I won't absorb everybody's feelings. I can just say what I want to say, and then I'll come back out, and then I'll feel it. But it won't be overwhelming. So I found some things on the internet that I thought were really cool. Empathy means that you feel what a person is feeling, like literally. We either imagine how their pain feels, or we can literally feel it. Compassion is the willingness to relieve the suffering of another, which I have a different version of compassion, but the Latin root of compassion is to suffer with. So when you meet another person suffering, you're driven to help with the suffering. So I think that's actually, I'm tweaking it to say, when you feel empathy, you can feel it and then kind of pull yourself back because you empathize and pull yourself back because you want to help. Compassion, you can help. You can do something with your compassion. If you're empathizing, sometimes you're over-empathizing, like I said, and you're suffering with them. That doesn't help. But when you're compassionate, you can do something. So anybody here have a friend or themselves had a baby or brought a baby into their life, and they were busy and they were trying to adjust, and somebody came over and did laundry, cleaned your room. My friend did that, cleaned my room, laundry, cooking, anything just to help hold the baby. I had a friend come over that she said, I am going to help you. She has 3 kids. I'm going to help you, Jodi. You don't have to hire help. I'm coming over to help. She walks in my house, she takes my baby, she sits down, she doesn't move. And I think she would have liked to have nursed him, but that wasn't possible at the time. I'm like, hi, C-section here. Weren't you going to do something? She goes, I am. And that was it. But other friends don't do that, and it was hilarious. Obviously, I remember that child is now 21 years old. Wouldn't he just love that I'm talking about it right now, too? That he just laid there looking at her, a little gassy. But my friend came over to help, and in a way she did. She actually really did. She was there. So that's how we can help, right? Is by stepping into our compassion versus being so sensitive to things that we take them on. So the thing about it is, keep the compassion thing in your head. The thing about it is, when I do readings, and I do readings, I've been doing them my whole life, and I had therapy, I did all these things to get much healthier with my boundaries, so I don't sit next to somebody now and feel their pain. What I do is, I'll think, I'm not sitting there. I'm gonna sit somewhere else because that's their stuff. And I honor it. I mean, I radiate joy, right? But when I'm not feeling happy, trust me, I radiate not joy. I'm very good at it. In fact, my whole family doesn't need to ask me if I'm in a bad mood. They can just feel it. Or I'm writing my 3rd book right now, and they'll come in, and I write really late, and I have a child, my daughter is up very late, and she'll come in and she'll go, are you busy? And I must look at her like, what do you think? But then I clear myself because she needs me. 12 o'clock at night. I mean, bad enough I'm up, but she's up and she's 17. So she needs me for something small. Thank God she needs me for something. I know soon, not so much on that. But when I do readings, I meet people who have been through so much, like amazing things, beautiful things, and some very sad things. And what happens is I can actually see it on their body. I can see like the energy on them that needs to come off. And a lot of it is about taking stuff on that doesn't belong to them, or holding on to something that doesn't belong to them anymore. So it's an amazing thing to do for yourself. It's a very healthy thing to do, is when you're about to talk to somebody or you're gonna go somewhere, close your eyes and wiggle your toes, say your name to yourself, and just feel this beautiful earth energy and white light come up through your body and surround you. And notice how you feel. Notice what your shoes feel like. This is what I always tell my husband. This is why I buy so many shoes. It helps ground me. Yeah, he's not buying it anymore, but I'm gonna keep saying it because maybe that it'll just kind of get in under him again. When you can feel how your body feels, like you can feel maybe if you're hungry, or if you're satisfied because you had something lovely, or you're thinking that you really like the feel of your shirt, anything. It takes you right into your body, because usually we float. So then you're not as susceptible to pick up on other people's stuff, right? So when someone sits in front of me, I can see what they have on them, and I help clear it. And then I dive further in to see what it is that's going on inside of them that's standing in the way of their joy, and where they bring themselves joy. That is fun. You know, just like chiropractors and accountants, everybody's kind of got their specialty. That's mine. I can spot where people bring themselves joy, and I can spot where they're sort of they're in the way of it. I always say it's like something under a rug that you trip on, because we don't know it's there. If we knew it was there, we'd clear it, right? So that's really fun. And then there's all the dead people I talk to. Then there's just a lot that's going on. But that's the biggest thing that's a big thing for me, is be able to help people have joy, and your loved ones in spirit like to come help you have more joy. That's why they're there. So again, what you radiate out comes to you, so only really nice spirits can come during my readings. So I operate my life like that. It's really nice if you radiate, so only the nicest things can come to you. And it's easy. You just have to, it's corny. You have to love yourself. You just have to love yourself. Remember the 70s? Was it the 70s, Peace, Love, and Bobby Sherman? But remember the t-shirts that said, I'm okay, you're okay, and all the things? And I think we should bring it back. The styles, not so much. Definitely not the styles of the 80s, and I think they are back. But it's the hair and this thing, but bringing back the whole, that it's all right to love yourself, that it isn't selfish to focus on loving yourself. It isn't selfish to think of yourself first. Because if you think of yourself first, you're more likely to be able to give to other people anyway. If you're starving, you're going to be so weak, where are you going to be present for someone else? Eat something and then share. Does that make sense? But we're not really raised to do that. We're taught the opposite, and I don't think that's awesome. So if we go in the direction of your joy always, that doesn't mean that you don't go help somebody move, or it doesn't mean that you don't go to a hospital to visit somebody. It just means that you know it's going to make you feel good to do it, and you'd feel worse if you didn't, but it brings you joy. I mean, joy isn't just eating caramel, although let's face it, that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it. But you have to think about brings you joy. And when you're sensitive and you're empathizing with somebody, does that bring you joy? If you get it really quick and you see what there's going on, but does it bring you joy if you step right into their space and you suffer with them? No, it doesn't. But if you have compassion and you think, what can I do to help them? And anybody ever experienced trying to help somebody and they're not helpable? Like they don't really want to be helped? Do you know what's worse than that? Is when you're the one that's doing that. And then you don't want to talk to anybody because you know you're just going to spill yourself down, right? So the best thing to do with that is to say, I can fix this myself. I'm going to reduce myself. I'm going to go right through here, and I'm going to feel my own light, and I'm going to bring myself more light. And if you want to help somebody because you're filled with light, and you can't help them because they're doing that, that's all right. They'll figure it out. You don't have to fix it. It's not your job. Your job is to take care of your own energy. You know what that means? Your job is to know what you're radiating. Your job is to choose what you're radiating. You get to choose it. You get to dial it in. Because whatever you're thinking about in the back of your mind is doing that. That's the thing that's radiating. And you can actually control your thoughts. Not every single one of them, but you can think things to yourself that feel so good that you start to radiate a better vibe. And that's how you take care of yourself, and that's how you can be more compassionate too. Okay, wait, there's more on the internet that I read that I thought was really cool. well, now I can't tell if I wrote this or somebody else, but let's pretend somebody else wrote it and then be really impressed. And then I'll tell you afterwards it was me, depending on how impressed you are. Sensitive people have a tendency to not only feel other people's feelings, but to take those feelings in. That is over-empathizing. And another thing that people that have compassion do, they have an understanding and actually feel it, but they work from their heart and they help fix it for the person by doing small things and then walking away. Right? So here's one example of it. I'm sure people here know somebody who's been sick, right? So in my family, like other families, there's been cancer. And so my family, we take turns sitting with our friends or our relatives that are having treatments. But we don't sit there thinking, you poor thing, your hair is gonna come out. No. You think that was great and it's on film. You think to yourself, I see this person's light. I see this person healthy. This is just a blip in their life. I see them healthy. And this is how you help them. This is how your compassion can help them. You see them as healthy. And they're healthy. So you're helping feed that part, right? Instead of the other part. We could go each way, but which one feels better? I mean, it feels so much better to see their light. And that's how you help. Or if somebody's going through something and you're a little jealous, it's not so good to be around it because then you're going to radiate that feeling and you're going to pull them down. What you do is you own it and you say, I'm jealous. I'm jealous that you've got those shoes on, or I'm jealous that you get to do this with your career, or this is so cool that you're so organized. I had a friend, her house, I mean, it's really hard to talk about, and she's deceased now, but I would still pinch her if she was here. Her house was so perfectly neat, it made me nuts, because mine wasn't. And I finally said to her, Colleen, I love you, but your house is so neat, I don't think we can be friends anymore. So then I accidentally, on purpose, opened a closet that wasn't very neat, and I was so happy. And I couldn't get my cell phone fast enough to take a picture and send it to people with her permission, because she thought it was funny, because my focus was, of course, it bothered me that my house wasn't neat. So her house being so organized and neat bothered me, but the problem wasn't her house, it was me. And I found some humor in it, and I kind of figured it out. So she had some compassion for me and helped me come organize. Yeah, she actually helped me de-shit my basement so we could move, because there was so much. I save things. Things have meaning. Napkins have meaning. They've got your name on it and your husband's name. Cake from your wedding 23 years ago, frozen, has meaning, until somebody says, are you going to eat it? That drops on the floor and the floor cracks. And you're like, I'm not eating that. And then you throw that away. So we all have our stuff, right? So it's basically everything comes down to loving yourself and boundaries. Everything. You could always put that in those two places, loving yourself and boundaries. So when somebody is as sensitive as I am, people are like, how can you walk into a room or how can you go places? Because I know that your stuff is your stuff and your stuff is your stuff and your stuff is, you can keep it. You can keep it. And when you come to me for help, I can help you, and you walk out and you take it with you. But there is something that goes on after a while. Again, it's like that debris that can happen. You have to clear yourself. So do you guys want to do something to clear? Really fun. So uncross your legs. Without knocking the person out next to you, raise your arms. Kind of get a little good stretch. Whoever does yoga here, they're going to be so envious of my Shavasana yoga here. And then you just drift down without knocking somebody out. Lay your hands on your thighs, palms up or palms down. Palms up if you want to receive energy, palms down if you just want to keep your own energy and not give it away. Close your eyes. Move your feet back and forth. Kind of press on the ground, so if you can touch the ground, and to feel the soles of your feet. And then stop doing that, and then listen to yourself breathe. Do one giant inhale through your nose, and then one giant exhale through your nose, if you can get it through your nose. Then do one more through your nose, actually two giant inhales and exhales slowly through your nose. Now just listen to yourself breathe for a minute, literally 1 minute. Just listen to yourself breathe. Listen, and if your mind wanders, no worries. Now imagine that you're watching fish swim in the ocean. And you can even imagine that you're one of them, that your body is just moving through the ocean. Now imagine that you are a puffer fish, the kind of fish that puffs up if they feel like they're in danger. The cool thing about you as a puffer fish is anything that's attached to you that doesn't belong to you pops right off. So you blow yourself up. Imagine that you're blowing yourself up, and anything that doesn't belong to you, any thought that you've used, anything you thought somebody thought about you, any mistake you think you've made, any to-do list that you haven't gotten to, anything pops right off of you. And then you get to be small little fish again, and you just swim through the ocean, and you go with the flow. Okay, you can open your eyes. That's a good thing to do even in the moment. Literally, stuff pops off of you. So the cool thing about intuition and the cool thing about energy is if you believe it, it is. That doesn't mean you can turn somebody into a pumpkin. But it does mean that if you believe that stuff's come off of you, it has. If you don't believe it and you still did the exercise, it still did. Maybe not as deeply as you want, but it did. So you can do that kind of an exercise anytime you want. Now the last thing I want to do with this is if you close your eyes and you imagine a sponge coming and kind of rubbing your skin, exfoliating anything off of it. In one fell swoop, this big sponge comes and just takes away anything else and leaves you feeling shiny. You can open your eyes. I love doing things like that, and it actually really works. I have met some spirits that really want to talk to me, and they're very assertive, and they won't leave me alone, and I've done that spongy thing, and it actually helps kind of push them away, so then I know where my space is, and so I can talk to them without being overwhelmed by them. So has anybody ever had to say to somebody, this just isn't working, I can't talk to you, please step away from me? Try doing that with a dead person. You have to be very assertive. They don't really cotton to you being polite. They just cotton to you just saying it right out. But that's because they're pure energy, and they hear it through your vibration. But everybody here is hearing what you're doing through vibration too. It's a different kind of sensitivity. So, does anybody have any questions for me about compassion, about boundaries, about intuition?
I've been told by some people that ghosts can hear your thoughts, and other people say they can only hear you when you speak.
They can hear your thoughts.
They can hear your thoughts. I was wondering.
And you can tell them to buzz off.
Yeah, I think I imported a ghost with an antique, and stuff started happening, and
Sorry,
I said,
that's
cut
a great
it out.
way to say it. I imported a ghost.
So I did tell them to cut out some things that were not good, because it, infected my pets.
Oh yeah, sage it. Take some sage and sage the object.
I just want to say how much I appreciate your words about boundaries, because it's true. If someone's down and you step into their space too much or too long, then you're actually doing them a disservice. There's a cutoff point, like you said. Do small, helpful things and then leave.
Right.
It's better for them and better for you.
It is. It's better for both. That's what we don't realize is sometimes it's worse for them too if they just continue to drain us, and there's nothing they can do, there's nothing you can do. They need to rejuice on their own.
Jodi, thank you so much for being here. You're one of the few books in the past years I've read.
Oh, I love that.
Intuition.
I have another one coming out. You can read another one.
And the prior note I just like about it sounds almost codependent, right? If you're taking on somebody else's stuff.
Yes, because then we think our worth is more on an unconscious level, but I think our heart wants to help, but it's not very healthy to keep doing that. So, I know there's more questions. I just kind of wanted to load in to see what's going on here. So, you're so sweet. Okay, so here's just a little bit more about boundaries. Boundaries are a subject that doesn't sound very sexy, but it's the best, because it also means that if somebody you love is coming around for the 5th time in the neighborhood to sell Girl Scout cookies, and you don't need any more Girl Scout cookies, and you've already called your neighbors to say, please buy, it's okay for you to say that cute little dumpling, sweetie, I have bought so much, I've loved them, go where somebody is gonna be able to eat them and use them in good health. And if that sweetie keeps ringing your doorbell, sick your dog on him. No, I'm just kidding. I say that because my dog would just lick somebody. But, you don't even have to answer. That's what's so funny. We don't have to answer. Somebody's ringing the doorbell. We don't have to answer. And sometimes that's the nicest thing you can do. Because if you answer the door and you have that look on your face like, what are you doing? That's going to hurt them too. Because everything is energy. Your thoughts are energy. Your clothing is energy. The chairs you're sitting on are energy. This room is energy. My words are energy. My hair is energy. Your shirt is energy. Everything is energy. And you can control what kind of energy you have flowing in and through you by thinking nice thoughts. By thinking nice thoughts. So I was at a party last night, and there were some amazing people, but one thought came through that wasn't very nice, and I started to really beat myself up for it. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm allowed a thought like that. That's totally fine. And it was more about me than anything else. So you forgive yourself. You just say that's all right. You don't have to like everybody. You don't have to be liked by everybody. But what you radiate out is really important, no matter if you like them or you don't. Because if somebody doesn't understand you and they radiate your that doesn't feel good either. So that's their deal. You see it, you say that's their deal, you let them keep it. But if you're doing it, then you say, you know what, that's my problem. That person might have done something to me that I really detest, but I'm working it out because it's more about me than them at this point. Because what they did is over. Now it's more about me and it's a boundary, and then you radiate feeling good. So what about if you are in a relationship that drains you? Be it at work, even one of your kids, or your partner's kids, or anything, a friend. What do you do with that? Do you have compassion for them and go try to help all the time? No, because if you're being drained, that doesn't help. That's over-empathizing. Being sensitive to a point where you're not doing something for yourself. What do you do when you're in a situation where doesn't feel healthy, but you can't get away for whatever reason? You forgive them and you forgive yourself. You just say, this isn't a perfect exchange, but it's here for a reason, and I'm going to do what I can do with it. I'm going to have good boundaries. If I find myself judging you, I'm going to think that's more about me than you. And I'm going to do what I need to do to move through this relationship because it's here for a reason. If you're in a situation right now, it's because you're supposed to be. And there's a way out. There's a way to work it out. You just have to like yourself enough to figure it out. Oh, that's a good quote. Somebody remember that for me? Okay, so, did anybody remember Richard Smalley from Saturday Night Live? So I loved his skit. He'd be in front of a mirror and he'd say, I'm good enough and I'm nice enough, and it was Al Franken. Hilarious. But the reason I laugh so hard is because it's true. To do that is so powerful. Totally powerful. So there's many different authors, and there's a ton of people that do things like this. There's some stuff in the Torah that I have found. So the Bible, that's really positive. I like positive words. And so I used to give them to my clients all the time. And then I thought, well, why aren't I writing them down and using them myself? So Marianne Williamson writes beautiful things, beautiful affirmative words. Florence Scovel Shinn, one of my utmost favorite, she wrote beautiful affirmative words. And Louise Hay, right? So I'm thinking, well, nobody's going to want mine. Those guys are so brilliant. And then I got a hold of myself and I thought, I like mine. So if I like mine, that's all that needs to be. So then I did this. So what I do is I hang around my house. And so when I open a door, I look at some of them and it makes me feel happy. So you do this for yourself. Get a sticky and write something on it that makes you feel good and stick it throughout your house and then really freak people out when they come over. Right. Choose your words, choose your bliss. It's totally true. Letting go facilitates the evolution of the soul. True, but not always easy. This one, anybody catastrophize in your mind? Make a catastrophe in your head? Okay. If the other shoe drops, run barefoot. So I, of course, don't want the other shoe to drop, but I realize that things happen, and so if it's going to happen, then I know how to run barefoot. These kinds of things, if you say things in the back of your mind, if you replace the things in the back of your mind that you're always saying, like, I talk too fast, or I wish I could lose weight, or if I had more money, my car wouldn't make this weird noise every time it starts. You say things like, super cool that I have a car. Great to know that because I want a new car, I'm going to get a new car. Or if you're feeling lonely, anybody ever feel lonely? If you're feeling lonely, then you say, I might feel that I'm alone, feeling alone, but I'm not. There's so many other people out there right now also feeling lonely. So then you don't feel as alone if you rephrase it. And then you say, it's good to be alone sometimes because I can clear my energy. Then when you're with other people and they start to bother you because you've been with them for 20 days in a row, you go, now I know when I need my space, and I'm going to imagine being back there when I felt lonely. It'll reduce me, and I can come back and be present because I'm doing something right now with these 20 people. How about anybody here have people at work that bug them? Just bug them. Bug them. You don't have to say their names. Show me a picture, Instagram me them, anything. Here's the tricky thing about it. If they really bug you, there's something about what they're doing that's about you. I feel like that's empowering because then it doesn't give them that power that you've given them. There's something about them that they're doing something that you need to look at in yourself. Right? How many conversations have you had with somebody who has some attention stuff and they're everywhere and they're complaining about their friends that have attention stuff, and you're like, great, this person is about to realize that they have it. That's what's happening. So there should be nothing that somebody says to you that you want to roll your eyes because you can think, yeah, I can kind of relate to that. Or, I don't do that anymore. Or, I'm glad I'm not doing that, and I think this is a big thing for them to be working out. It just makes you radiate your joy when you do that. So there are some people that do some stinky things. Doesn't always have to be directly about you. Sometimes you're just there. You can just say, I'm there. Now I'm away. Now I'm over here. And then they say to you, why don't you sit next to me anymore? And you say, oh, because I'm sitting over there. And it doesn't have to be anything about them. Why does it? Right? Okay. Questions? I know you have them because there's like big bubbles around you and I can see them above your heads. So let's see. Where is my nice lady? There's one person right back there.
Hi, getting back to boundaries, what's the best way, simplest way to teach our little kids about boundaries? Because I'm very sensitive.
It's a great question. Showing them boundaries yourself, by having them yourself, and by giving them backstory, a very abbreviated version, by having them yourself. So let's say one of your kids comes to you and they say, Matt, are there people still named Matt now? Is that a name that's being brought back? Because I know really cool names are being brought back. Matt was, he took my lunch. And now I didn't get lunch because he liked my lunch better than his lunch, and he ate my lunch, and now I hate Matt. We don't really hate Matt, but you get the picture. So then you say, I think you hate that you didn't get something to eat. Matt must be so hungry and really liked what you had and probably really likes you. I don't like that you didn't have something to eat. Next time that happens, say, hey, Matt, tell your mom to make this. She can call my mom, and my mom can tell her exactly what it is, but you can't take my lunch. This is my lunch. And then make sure that you don't sit next to Matt right away because Matt doesn't take the lunch. And if it's a smaller thing, like people pressuring your kids to think a certain way or they say things about you or something like that, then you just defuse it. What was the movie where Barbara Streisand was in love with her sibling's therapist, of course, and she had left her husband, and then they're having this lovely relationship. She had left her husband before, so it wasn't an affair, and then she went back to her husband. And the guy said, people like you always do that because beautiful people like you do that, meaning she went where her heart was. But within this whole story, she introduced her child to this man. And the child was like 12 and said, my dad hates you because she's dating somebody else. And the man says, but he loves you. That's awesome boundaries. That's just awesome boundaries. Just bring it back to that positive. So when you're feeling like they maybe won't get that, the consistency shows them something. Be the one that's consistently having good boundaries. And the other thing is we don't like to show our kids we're upset unless we're like really upset and we can't help it. Talk to your kids about being upset. That makes me sad. Oh, that makes me sad that they said that. That's too bad. That must not feel good to them either. And then move on. That is the best way. Does that answer your question without diving too much into the over-personal stuff around it? Okay, so this is how this works. I don't do this very often, but I'm going to see how it feels to do it today. I'm going to do a couple spot readings. Are you guys all right with that? Okay. It is a different kind of an energy that it takes, and so I'm only going to do a little because I didn't prepare to do more than a couple, all right? Anybody here see energy? Watch this. You see that? I popped energy all around here because I only want to pick up the best things that are going to help other people as well. And I don't want to say anything that's going to really out anybody or embarrass anybody. But I can't always control what comes out. So I control how it comes out, but I don't control that it comes out. So I will ask you if you want a reading as I walk by. What I want to do is spark your joy. Because when you spark your joy, like you radiate joy. As you spark your joy, everybody else gets a piece of it. It's the coolest thing. When I do events, I have to like dial so closely in to drive home because I'm high, literally. Like I haven't smoked anything or eaten one of those edible things or anything. I'm high because the energy feels so good. Does that make sense? Do you want a spot reading?
Sure.
Okay, just tell me your first name.
Terry.
So you're a sensitive person and you take things right here. And I feel like you've, in your life, taken hit after hit, but you're not doing that as much right now because now when you start to spot it, you're like, yeah, I've been this place. I'm moving over here. What you haven't done, what you're working on, what you haven't completed yet is understanding that you can actually say to somebody, you know, this isn't working. Sorry, this isn't working, and walking away. Saying, I would love for this to work out, but it's not, and then walking away. Any kind of exchange. Anybody ever go somewhere where somebody that's ringing you up is like so unpleasant when you're buying something, you don't even know what to do? I've actually gathered my stuff up and taken it and gone to a different thing. And they look at me like, you're crazy, and I'm thinking, no, honey, you're crazy. And I know just how crazy you are. So, but you can take care of yourself. Because women in my family were taught to take care of people. We weren't taught to take care of ourselves. Men are taught to take care of people, and everyone is taught to take care of people in a different way. But we haven't learned to dial in and say, it's okay, me first. So I feed my kids first, I do all of that, but then I take care of me. Your mantra should be me first. Does that make sense to you? Have you recently done this with somebody? I know I can feel it. Congratulations. How fun is that? All right, I know this is going to drive the camera people nuts, but I have to do this. Where's Jodi? Coming on over here. See, now what I did is I made a loop, so all that good energy just came here. You can't point to somebody else. She's pointing to you. Oh, that's so sweet. She likes it. We'll see what goes around there. That's very cute. I know I've done it with people too. Teacher, do it for her. Well, of course, I'd love to read you, but I know you, so it'd be a big cheat. I'm sensing that you're a beautiful person.
Oh, thank you.
And that you have worked with an amazing medium before.
Absolutely.
I am good. I am good. You, can I read you?
Sure.
Oh, is that a real sure?
It's a yes.
Okay, so the way that you radiate joy is you don't give it all away right at once. You're very careful about your energy and how you let it out and how you bring it in. Because people have taken from you before, and you have trusted them so much thinking they would never do that because you would never do that, but they did. And it really bugged the S out of you. So now you're like, okay, I still like to give because it feels so good to give. So you have like a screen up that says, I have a stop valve. If this isn't going back and forth, then I'm going to stop it. And it's really good. So trust your instincts on that and your intuition. You're doing a really good job. You actually really are doing a good job. And if you feel like you're not giving enough, then just say, okay, well, then I'll dial it up or dial it down. It's up to me, but I want to make sure that there's something that is going on for me that feels good too. Does that make sense?
Very.
Yeah, very. He said very. He said very. So this is how I do this. We all radiate an energy, and the energy tells a story. You guys, I'm sure, just that you're here, you know about this. Your energy radiates a story. So when I read somebody, I read that story. But I could read a dark story, or I could read a light story. Which do you think I choose? Yes, because that's going to help people the most. That's going to help people the most. So what do you do when you know somebody's in a situation and they keep doing it to themselves? And they keep talking about it, and they're so sad about it, and they can't see it, and any advice that you've given them, they're not hearing because they just can't. What do? Do you listen? If you can listen without taking it on for a certain amount of moments, yes. But otherwise, no. No, because they're trying to figure it out. But what if this is happening here? I can feel it. You guys, there's people here, right through here, that are going through this right now and have gone through this on the other sides of this. So what do you do with that? Then you say, I want to help you so much. And I know that there's nothing I can say to you that's going to help you as much as what you're going to say to yourself. So I'm here, I love you, and I really honestly feel like you're the one that's going to figure this out. And then you take your energy and you move away from it. But what about if that person's you? And you feel lonely, and you want to glob people with your loneliness. Then you call your friend, you say, I'm really sticky for the icky right now. Can you give me 5 minutes? And if your friend can, you say, okay. And then you say, this is what I've done, and I've done it with my friend. I go on television, and I love being on television talking about the intuitive process. And the most important thing is, I want to do that, to show that how cool intuition is. So I do haunted houses. Mostly I read people, famous people, audience members on Twin Cities Live, and I feel very, very good about it. But here's a secret. After I make sure that I did a good job, I look to see what I look like. And I have lots of different clothes, and I have clothes that literally balloon out as you sit. And I have called one of my friends who's here right now and said, I looked completely pregnant. I don't even want to put it on the internet. People have done this. Jodi, when are you due? I saw you on television. When are you due? So then I play this icky game with myself about it, and I say to my friend, can you give me 5 minutes? And she's like, 2. You have 2 minutes. So then I get it out, and I'm done. I'm done. So it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to share it, but be done. Just make sure you're done, because it controls your energy, right? Thank you. It controls your energy. So over-empathizing is a drain. Being compassionate is incredibly helpful, because that's what you want to do, is be helpful. And having boundaries is where it's at. Knowing where your space begins and where your space ends. Knowing that you control your vibration, you control how you radiate, and however you're radiating is coming back to you. So even if you're in a really blue place, you can say, I'm in a really blue place, but I'm not going to always be in a blue place. Besides, blue's a good color. And find something funny or nice, or go on the internet and look up some awesome affirmations and post them around your house. Carry them with you so you can repeat them when that voice in the back of your head said, you know you looked pregnant on television on Friday. And then you say, well, that's all right, because I'm giving birth to a whole new self. But literally, this is what you do. You do funny things with it, and your whole vibe is lifted. I love it. How do you like when you can find anything in a store just like that? How you're in and out in a store, how you get the best parking spaces, how friends that you're thinking about call you. That's because you're radiating that amazing vibe, and you're getting back what you're radiating. It's an awesome thing to do, and we are the only ones in control of our vibration. No matter what is happening, we are the only ones in control of it. So control your energy. Maintain the best kind that you can, and forgive yourself when you don't, and it'll all be awesome. Really awesome. And you know, I like getting help. I like reading books. I like going on the internet and looking things up that are really substantial. I love taking walks. Do things that you like to do that you know will bring you up, especially on days like today when it's a rejuice day. So I have free things that I'm doing on my website, which is theintuitivecoach.com. Free. I'm doing some things that aren't going to be free, but it'll be really inexpensive. There are other places that you can go also that you can get amazing things that are just there for you. They're just there for you for the taking, to lift your vibe. Do something for yourself today, other than this, because this has been so great. Do something for yourself today when you're outside by feeling that white energy, that light energy come up through your feet, and let it kind of clear you and clean you. Do something nice for yourself at least once a day. At least once a day, something like that, and watch your vibration. You will have a way better week. You will have a beautiful month. You will have an amazing year if you can maintain this. Doesn't mean things don't happen, but you can keep yourself present and radiate the best possible outcome for yourself, because that's what comes back to you when you radiate this good energy. It's wonderful. So I'm not here to say that bad things don't happen. I'm here to say if you do this, you know how to run barefoot, right? You know how to take care of it. And I thank you very much. This has been wonderful. I love that this is like the best. I wish I could just stand here and memorize it all in, so I am. So then when I'm feeling lonely, I'll remember this moment. So thank you very much. See, did you hear what I said before?
No.
I said, let's do Hava Nagila, which is a Jewish dance, which is fun, but we can't because we'd break things. But it brings good energy. All right, so I love this. This is the kind of thing that I would have thought, oh God, really? And then you do it and you're not the same. It's such a beautiful thing. So imagine that the roof of this beautiful building is coming up just temporarily, and that you can feel the sun on you right now. And you can feel the appreciation that you have for the moment you're in, the moment you had, and the moments that are coming, and the beautiful energy of every single person in here. Now imagine that as the sun comes down, sparkling energy is going inside of you, filling every single cell with light, and clearing out any gunk that's left over, and filling you with the joy of this particular moment and of all the moments you've ever had. And you can bring that with you wherever you go. And today, wherever you go, look for things that you like in people, in things, and mostly in yourself. And thank you very much. It's a beautiful day.
This is right where I need to be.
We're good.
The sunset.